I'm going to show you how to make a torso block. And for that, you're going to need a 2-dart back bodice and a 2-dart front bodice. While I'm using half scale, I'm going to give you the information as if you were using your regular size, 10, 8, 6, 14, whatever. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to draw a line that's going to essentially represent the center back. And about 12 inches down from the left edge of your piece of paper, you're going to make a mark. I'm doing half scale, so don't worry about my marking there. Then after you have that mark, what you're going to do is you're going to take your back bodice and you're going to place it, well, what you're going to do is you're going to measure your side seam. And from that first mark, you're going to measure that same distance down. So an easy way to do that is to just lay the pattern on your line and to mark where it hits the waist. So that's your waist level. This is going to be your bust level. And from this point, what you're going to do is you're going to measure down 3.5 inches and mark it, and 3.5 inches and mark it. So that first 3.5 inches down is going to represent your high hip level. And then the second 3.5 inches down is going to represent your low hip level. And at this point, you can take your L square and line it up with your first mark and square a line straight up the page, or across the page more likely, at 90 degrees. And the same thing at your waist level. Draw a line across your page at a 90 degree. And at your high hip level, you're going to do the same thing. And at your low hip level, you're going to do the same thing. One thing that I didn't have you do prior to this is to set up your bodice. So what you want to do is take your back bodice and you're going to square a line at the bust level, which would correlate with the bust level on the front. So what you want to do is actually square a line so that it touches the intersection of your armhole and side seam. Remember to make sure that you are lining it up correctly before making that mark. And then the same thing on here. You're going to square a line straight out at 90 degrees from your center front so that it touches the intersection of your side seam and your armhole once again. You can shift that down. So these are just guidelines. May not hit the apex, and that's fine. So then you can put those aside, and what you're going to do with your back is you're going to line it up on the center back line here that we originally made, and you're going to trace out everything from the armhole up into the shoulder. You can mark the dart at the shoulder into the center back. Remember to mark your vanishing point and your vanishing point. We don't care about this vanishing or the dart itself right now. You can mark your notches if you have it, and you can put that to the side. With your front bodice, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to line it up on your line, and you're going to mark everything from the bust level line that you've created up through the neckline, shoulder, and remember to mark your dart and the vanishing point or the apex. I'm just going to mark that. So now we just have the top portions of our bodices. So with a ruler, what you want to do is you want to square a line straight down. Move this out of the way. Pink pearl can sit over there. So at your side seam, which will become your side seam, you're going to draw a line straight down. Here's the vanishing point. Remember to mark it and circle it. Vanishing point, mark it and circle it. Vanishing point or apex, mark it and circle it. At the center front here, you can square a line straight down from this point so that you have your full center front marked. And you can draw in your darts also. And then you have your shoulder dart here. So all I really need to do at this point is to do the waist dart. And the waist dart on the back stops 1 inch above the low hip. So measure up 1 inch above to find the vanishing point of this dart. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is use that guideline, that back bust level, and from the vanishing point I will draw a line down and I will end it 1 inch below or above the low hip. And in this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to square a line straight down using that bust level again, and that one can go all the way down. So again, this one will end 1 inch above. And this dart is going to be 5/8 of an inch on the left and on the right. So mark 5/8 of an inch there and 5/8 of an inch here. And at the side seam here, you can do the same thing. 5/8 of an inch on the left and 5/8 on the front or the right. And once again, that will end 1 inch above, and we'll use the French curve to curve the hip out. And at the center front, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch to the left and 3/4 of an inch to the right. Remember that we're not using the original dart, so we have a lot of room to play with. So in that case, 3/4 there and 3/4 there. At the high hip, what you're going to do is 1/4 of an inch on one side and 1/4 of an inch on the other. And the same thing here, 1/4 of an inch on that side and 1/4 of an inch on that side. So this is 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch. This is 1 inch, 1 inch, 1/4, 1/4, 3/4, 3/4, 1/4, and 1/4 of an inch on either side of center. So to fill that in, you'll just connect the two with your ruler. Same thing here. This one is a little bit larger. If you want it more fitted than this fitted torso block, you can put another dart in between at waist level. So that's the finished product. But if you wanted it fitted after the fitting, you can add another dart here and you can add another dart there. Now the last thing that you want to do to this is to curve the hips. Place pink pearl on the sideline. So take your hip curve. This is my French curve because of the size. And you want to remember that people do have shape. So you'll want to curve that out gently And each client might have a different hip to waist ratio, so the curvature can change if it needs to. So in our case, what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to be creating a slip dress pattern. So what you want to do from this point is to, using this longer ruler, we're going to continue the line down. So from there, so this is the high hip, so this is 7 inches down from the waistline. So you would want to measure from the waistline down to your finished product. I would always do it to the knee personally, just so that that's a point of reference. And you would need to take that measurement from the waistline, or I'm sorry, from the hip line down to the knee, which is the first rung on the dress form. So once you've done that, and once you've extended this line out, you can then separate it. And then using your L square line straight across, and that literally becomes your pattern for your front and your back dress, shift dress. The front waist can end, you can bring it up an inch. You don't want to go into the hip too far. You can even bring it up more if your fitting dictated it. But that basically is the center back, center front, and this is the back pattern and the front pattern. And if you look at it closely, you'll see that there's a skirt in there and a bodice.